What was that about what did you call that? The
Yeah,
mute or something? Or
I'll talk about a couple things here. This is a mute. I do recommend getting. In fact, I'll throw one in. There'll be a mute in the box. Um, but basically, what that does is it adds weight to your bridge. And just be careful to not try to bend the bridge. Just set it up on there. It should be firm, but not. Don't try to muscle it on there. What this does is adds weight to the bridge so that it's a lot harder for the high frequency of the strings to get into the instrument. So it's something that it gives the instrument a much warmer sound, and it's something that really has a nice mellow sound when you have a mute on it. So it's a little easier to practice with. But
that's just for practicing.
um, so there are pieces that call for playing with mutes on,
Oh,
and this is a fairly heavy one out of ebony, the same material that is the uh, the
the fingerboard?
the fingerboard and the chin rest. They make other ones that actually rest over here, and then you pop it on there when you want to add that different sound. So in an orchestra, if you're playing in an orchestra, if it calls for a mute, um, this is probably a little overkill, but it's kind of fun to practice with. It really gives the instrument a completely different sound, but it's not really necessary for practicing. A lot of instruments, especially new instruments, they have a very nasal sound. I've played probably hundreds of instruments that are very annoying in the ear, and that's usually because the top of the instrument is really too flexible, and it's capable of making some very annoying kind of fran sounds, and it's really harsh in the ear. So this instrument, being that it's probably 100 years old, doesn't have that character. As well as I've gone over the insides when this was open and made it so that the inside surfaces are all set up so this has a very nice it's a very nice mellow sound, but it actually makes it so that this part's quite a bit stiffer, and more energy that goes into the instrument will actually go into other places of the instrument. So you hear some ringing and some other tones that'll come out of this instrument instead of that nasal instrument. The other thing is the F hole has been shaped a little differently than what new violins are made, and that'll make it very that'll remove a lot of the harshness that you get in the ear as well. So this is something that'll be quite a good instrument to be practicing with, just because it's nice to your ear when your ear is so close to it. So, but yeah, so I'll throw this in and have practice a lot. Watch two set violin on YouTube and practice, practice, practice.
Right. So
So
what about the volume of the instrument? You were saying something about that?
yeah, so this instrument's been broken in. It happened before it came apart. Unfortunate, but it is something that it is quite a loud instrument. But it's going to be loud projection wise. It will actually be quite pleasant nearby, and part of that has to do with something called chuffing, which if you look up chuffing, it's described for speakers as the wind noise that's created from the ports and open speakers. So this has a special shape on the F holes. If you look at the profile of the F hole, they have a curved shape, and that reduces both the chuffing, so the low frequency air noises, as well as you'll have less sound from the bow going over the strings. So it actually reduces both of those things. So this will behave more like a Stradivari or Guarneri in that respect because of the shape of the F holes. But
I'm not seeing much shape to them. What shape are you talking about there?
so if you imagine the air going in and out and
Yeah.
in and out, put your lips together and breathe, and then now put your teeth together and breathe. So I'm not making any sound with my lungs, my vocal cords. That's all just air escaping over sharp surfaces. And so a lot of new violins have sharp surfaces, sharp edges on both the inside and the outside of the F-holes.
Hmm.
So these have been softened
Okay, I get it.
so that you don't have, it basically is air can flow in and out of there without going over a sharp edge. And that really does not make much difference in the room, but when your ear is only that far away from it, it really does make a huge difference. And that's one of those things that I discovered playing a $250,000 instrument and comparing it to my $300 Chinese instrument and going, why does it sound so different? And that was one of the things that I realized was this was a speaker problem. It's trying to move air, and in the process is making all of this extra turbulent noise.
Hmm.
And by reshaping the F-holes, which you do see on hundreds of really old instruments as the smooth F-holes, it makes it so much easier to play when your ears are really close to it. You get a much cleaner sound in your ear. So anyway, so there's lots of little tricks that are visible and not visible, and hopefully it just makes this a fun instrument to play.
Great. Super.
Yeah.
Thank you.